some more information about the topic of price elasticity and its application. Let's continue with price elasticity and total revenue. Price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. And the formula of total revenue is price times quantity. If demand is elastic, then price elasticity of demand is higher than 1. Price percentage change in quantity is higher than percentage change in price. The falling revenue from lower quantity is greater than the increase in revenue from higher price. So revenue falls. And if you consider about other elasticities, the first one is income elasticity of demand. It measures the response of QD to a change in consumer income. And what is the formula of this income elasticity of demand? And it is percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in income. So if we remember from the chapter 4, an increase in income causes an increase in demand for a normal good, but for normal goods, income elasticity is higher than 0. For inferior goods, income elasticity is smaller than 0. And the second one is cross price elasticity of demand. It measures the response of demand for one good to change in the price of another good. And the formula of it is percentage change in QD for the first good divided by percentage change in the price of second good. For substitutes, cross price elasticity is higher than 0. As an example, an increase in price of beef causes an increase in demand for chicken. And for complements, cross price elasticity is smaller than 0. If you take an example, it is an increase in price of computers causes decrease in demand for softwares. And now I will give you 3 strong examples for this topic. And so we will go through these 3 questions. Now, the first one, can good news for farming be bad news for farmers? And the second one, why has OPEC, the International Oil Cartel, failed to keep the price of oil high? And the third one, does drug interdiction increase or decrease drug-related crimes? So, if we suppose that you are a wheat farmer in Kansas and you earn money by selling wheat, so you try to grow as more as possible, because if you grow a lot of wheat, your income will be higher. So one day a university invents a new wheat seed that increases harvest by 20%. Should you use it? So if we analyze this economic case step by step, so we should look at which curve shifts. The supply curve shifts right, because farmers can produce more wheat at each price. And what about demand? No change in demand, because wheat is the main ingredient in people's diet. So so people don't suddenly eat more wheat because there is new wheat. And what happens in the market? Supply increases, and as a result, price drops and quantity sold rises, and therefore farmers sell a little more wheat but at a lower price. So what happens to farmers' income? Total revenue, as we have seen above, total revenue is equal to price multiplied by quantity. Since wheat has inelastic demand, price drops a lot and quantity rises, and total revenue, as a result, total revenue falls, and farmers earn less money overall. Then why do farmers still use the new seed? Each farmer wants to increase their own output, but when all farmers do it, total supply increases. And this shows how competitive markets work overall. Individual decisions can hurt the group. And if we look at the history, 200 years ago, most Americans were farmers. And then day by day technology increased food production, and it means fewer farmers needed and people moved to other jobs, and today only 2% of Americans farm, but they feed 4 times more people than before. And sometimes government pay farmers not to grow crops, to keep supply lower and price higher. And the government helps farmers earn more, but consumers pay higher food prices. So if we look at the graph, when a technological advance increases the wheat supply from S1, the first one, to the S2, the price falls from $3 to $2, and as a result, farmers' total revenue falls from $300 to $220. And this is our second example, OPEC oil prices. In the 1970s, OPEC countries wanted higher income, so they reduced oil supply. So in the short run, OPEC earned more money. But why did their plan fail later? Because their plan was suited for the short run, not for a long run. In the short run, oil supply can change, consumers can suddenly reduce usage, and it means big price increase, our price increase. But in the long run, other countries produce more oil and consumers buy efficient cars, save fuel, and the consumers adjust this situation, and it means smaller price increase. So our price decreases, so raising oil prices works in the short run, not in the long run. So in our graph, when the supply of oil falls, the supply falls, the response depends on the time horizon. In the short run, supply and demand are relatively inelastic, and the shift in the supply curve from S1 to S2 leads to a substantial price increase. And our third example is, does drug interdiction increase or decrease drug-related crimes? So illegal drugs like heroin, cocaine, and meth cause addiction and crime. The US government spends billions to stop drugs from entering the country, and we can use supply and demand to understand the effect. Drug interdiction, it means stopping drug supply. I like restricting drug supply to the country. And government tries to block drug smuggling, and supply decreases, supply curve shifts left, and price of drugs increases, and quantity of drugs decreases. And if I was a policy advisor, I would recommend drug education. Teach people not to use drugs, and it means it causes demand decreases. So demand curve shifts left and price falls. And less drug use, it means it results with less crime. So in the short run, demand is inelastic. Drug introduction increases crime, but in the long run, demand may become elastic and introduction could reduce crime later. So in our graph, drug introduction reduces the supply of drugs from S1 to S2. And if the demand for drugs is inelastic, then the total amount paid by drug users rises, even as the amount of the drug use falls. But drug education reduces the demand for drugs from D1 to D2, and because both price and quantity fall, the amount paid by drug users falls. So, thank you for your attention, and like our video and put subscribe button and stay with us.